family. Welcome to episode 12 of ScreenFlow Live. We do this, we've actually dialed it back. We only do this about once every 2 weeks or so now. Just because we were finding that maybe taking on 2 live shows plus a bunch of webinars every week might be a little bit much. And then as far as the ScreenFlow audience for live stuff goes, it just seems like the appetite was a little bit less. But let us know if you want us to bump back up and see more of these live shows every week. Otherwise, we'll just keep bringing them to you on a bi-weekly basis. Today's topic is all about Flowtility, our awesome value add pack. There is a ton of cool stuff that I'm going to show you, things that you can get your hands on just for a few more dollars that will really up the production value. So we're going to take a little tour of that. I'm going to show you some things regarding that. And yeah, we'll take it easy today. We'll kick back and explore a little. If you have a question or a comment, just leave it in the Facebook Live comments. Thank you, Michael. Yes, we are live. Yes, we figured that out about the time I started hearing my own voice in my own ear. So no worries. Like I said, that's what live video is all about. We just roll with the punches here. Okay, again, if you have any questions, though, feel free to leave it in the comments section. I'll try to take those. I'll check on those periodically as we go along. Stop me if you want to see something again, and we'll circle back. So let's get started. I'm going to show you my desktop here. We'll pull this up, and I'm going to get rid of my system preferences here. Now, where do you find Flowtility? What is it? How do you get it? If you've never heard of it, what am I even talking about when I talk about Flowtility? Well, I'm glad you asked that, Andrew. The way you find that is you go to our Telestream website, and if you're on the main ScreenFlow page here, you'll find Flowtility was a value-added pack. It's sort of like an add-on thing that you can find if you go to the cart. So if you click buy on ScreenFlow, you should see the add-on packs for Flowtility here, and they really come in 2 varieties. We have our Flowtility motion graphics library, which is basically a menu of available motion graphics. It's got clips for video texture backgrounds. It's got lower third style stuff. So, it's got objects, bugs, lots of stuff in it. We're going to tour through that. We'll peek inside and look around. And then you've got the Flowtility Pro Transitions Pack. Now this is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a series of additional types of transitions that can really spice up cutting or transitioning from source A to source B. So make sure that you get from the first material to the second piece in style, and adds a little flair, adds some fun animations and stuff, and we'll check that as well. There's 2 ways to really bring those into your ScreenFlow projects, and there's no one way to do it. I'm going to show you both, and they each have their own advantages to them. But that's basically where you see it. You'll add them. If you are considering these, then there's probably a better way. If you've never bought ScreenFlow before, if you're just looking at that, you might want to check out our options tab here. This is where you can get the whole kit and caboodle for a reduced cost. So you've got you get the Flowtility graphics library plus the transitions pack plus ScreenFlow. So that's the ScreenFlow super pack. It's a bundle, and then you can also get the super pack plus a premium support from our great support team. So that's really where you can check this out. If you want to sort of peek at what they are, there's some samples. You can click on the links. They'll show you some of what these do. There's also a bunch of great YouTube videos that tour everything. I'm going to pull that up. The YouTube page for Flowtility is quite robust, and you can actually watch a lot of the elements here. They before we acquired Flowtility, they were a separate company, and they built all these and uploaded them all to the YouTube channel. So again, all of their transitions, everything they ever built that is in the library is here. Most of them are short clips, like 8 seconds long. You can see all the different swipes, different hand colors there, different gestures. So I mean, they're very exhaustive. It shows every single one. There's also, of course, all of their. There's a overall tour of the pack, which you can click on and watch. It's pretty cool. Kind of takes you through each one and each transition as it shows. So this is the Pro Transitions pack. You can see footage A, footage B, footage C to footage D. So there's lots of different cool animations and motions on how you get there. So that's a great way to sort of tour through the pack. And you can see these in action when I start editing in ScreenFlow with them. So we're gonna tour this. We're gonna go back to the get rid of that for now. We're gonna take this and actually show you what it looks like after you purchased. Well, once you've got the transitions pack, you're gonna get sent a link to download an installer, and the installer will just look like on Mac. It's just gonna come as this sort of little Flowtility transitions pack installer. Double click it to load it up. And that will pop open the installer window. Welcome to Flowtility. And then you're going to hit continue, go through the installation process. Once everything's installed, you will find, I'm going to bring this over for demonstration purposes, in your hard drive, this is where it's going to go. It's actually going to live in the library in application support under Telestream. And then you're going to find this new folder that's installed in the Telestream application support folder, which is where ScreenFlow will look. You're going to find these transition movies, and there's an XML form for each one. There's also an MOV, which is the actual video itself that is the transition. The XML file that accompanies each one is really just an instruction file that tells ScreenFlow where to position this movie and how to pull them in to the ScreenFlow user interface. So let's see what that looks like as well. Let's open ScreenFlow, and I have let's see, just a standard 2 clips here. All right. This is actually one clip that I split in half, and then let's say I want to cut from one part of the clip to another, and I want to add a transition. Well, the simplest way to do that is to, in ScreenFlow, one of the cool things about ScreenFlow is that you can just drag a clip right on top of the other, and it just bumps into it, and then if it starts overlapping, a transition is born in the middle there, which is really neat. And by default, it's going to be your default transition. So this could be whatever you want, but if you haven't changed anything in your preferences in ScreenFlow, then it's going to be a cross dissolve, which is really that standard fade from A to B. And A to B is really a industry type terminology for a placeholder of a footage clip from the first footage from the first clip and footage from a second clip, another source. And of course, the source here is really the same clip, just divided into 2. All right, so transitions born. Now, once you've installed the Flowtility transitions pack, if you double-click on the transition in ScreenFlow, it'll pop up the transitions menu. And the transitions menu is cool. It will have a list of all the other types of transitions available to you, and you'll notice this list got about 30 transitions longer after you've installed Flowtility. And you're going to see things like Camera Flash and Clapboard and Comic Pow. Those are all new transitions specifically to Flowtility and the Flowtility Pro Transitions Pack. The standard ones usually don't have as much flair. They don't have any extra elements. They're really just standard A to Bs. That's kind of how you can tell the old ScreenFlow ones. And I'm just hovering my mouse over these, and a little transition is playing, or a little movie is playing that shows how the transition works. So ScreenFlow has a lot of production power under the hood here with these built-in transitions, and then by adding the Pro Flowtility transitions, you take it up quite another notch. A lot of cool ones, different animations with 3D objects like this door opening, closing, barn doors, elevator doors, film burn, a lot of cool stuff. So we're going to just start with a simple one here. We're going to use the Comic Pow. So by clicking on the one that you want, you can even star it as a favorite if you like or plan on using it a lot. unstart if you don't. But either way, you're just going to click on the one you want to use, and then it will be highlighted yellow. And that is now the selected transition that is used in this particular spot on the timeline. Click anywhere outside of the transitions menu box to make your choice permanent and make the menu disappear. And now you can see that these two clips will transition with this movie of a comic POW coming in, and it gets played right there. So very cool way to do it. Now you can adjust the speed of the transition by dragging either clip to the right or the left. Generally, you're going to work on the clip on the right because you've already, in theory, set all the sequencing of the clips to the left. Timelines, nonlinear editing, ScreenFlow, every other editor that has a timeline, they work from left to right. So usually clips on the left are already kind of sequenced and you have them in the order you want. And if you start moving around, you start messing with things on that side. So, you know, I typically find that I'm adjusting length by moving the ones on the right or the left. Another way to do it is, of course, to change your in or out points. But if, let's say, we drag this very quickly to the right and make this a very small little transition, you will see the whole animation is going to play extremely quickly and just boom. So the transition animation will speed or slow down depending on how big this area in the timeline grows, this transition chunk. So by dragging it left or right, I make it shorter or longer, and it even shrinks in size, which kind of tells me it's going to be very short and tiny. If we were to head over to the pack itself, the Pro Transitions pack, and look at the file that's being played, we'll see that this is about a 1 second clip. So if it's playing at full speed, kind of normal speed, it's 1 second long. So the transition here, if I'm going shorter or longer than a second, is going to be played slower or faster than maybe it was intended or the way it was built. So from, say, 30, let's take this clip here down to 33 just to make this easy. I'm going to turn on snapping here. So there we are at 33, and if I drag this chunk until it becomes right about at 32, now I know this is about 1 second long. Click there, and now the transition should play about the speed it's meant to. And of course that messed up my my cuts there. But you will need to adjust your in and out points to be correct if you want it to. So about a beat, but each transition in the Pro Transitions pack, if I just quickly verify here, they all seem to be around a second, a little longer maybe. If you want exact counts, you can double click them, open them in a player, and verify that using like an inspector or something like that. We have a great one called Switch, which is a great player and has better inspection capabilities, so maybe I'll open that in there. We're going to open with, going to go here, hold on. I believe I have Switch installed on this machine, don't I? Maybe I don't. Maybe I haven't installed the latest version. I should do that. Okay, so I think I've just been demoing Wirecast and ScreenFlow on here and haven't had any Switch demos yet. But Switch is a good one if you want to open files and really check out the details, and that could give us a down to the frame count of how long these transitions are in terms of their original movie files. Okay, so that is the first way the transitions pack works. Now, there's another way that I actually kind of prefer to work in using the transitions pack. And let me show you. This is a little trickier. So what this does, the way to do this is I like to, instead of maybe having to adjust my transitions by this shorter, longer method, sometimes I want a little more control as to when a clip comes in and when it goes out. I don't want the speed of the transition to be dependent on the out points of the in and out points of the clips that I'm transitioning from or to. I hope that makes sense. So the way this is if I want, say, this transition to be much slower, well, then I'm sacrificing when this in point comes in and when you actually start to see the guy on the slope here. So for example, if I really wanted to you to see this transition the first time you see this part of the clip, the second part of the clip here, and maybe a better way to do this is cut to, say, this helicopter shot. So if we cut to the helicopter shot, and I want this to be the first clip that you see, this is the first frame, and I want the transition to play at a certain speed, then it becomes a little tricky when you're doing this over the drag over thing, because what happens is I get a longer transition here, and some of these transitions, again, you can right click as well, like the Comic POW transition that we were using, is actually going to, it's a full screen blackout transition. So I'm not getting to see the first frame of the next clip. I don't actually see the helicopter till we're about several frames into that clip. So I'm about here where I really want you to see the helicopter for the first time when it's over there. And maybe even better example is if we were a little further down. Say if we wanted to see it when this tail stabilizer or whatever is right over this Dolby trademark or logo. And in order for that to happen, I have to be pretty careful with how I adjust the length of the transition, because you can see by the time the Comic POW transition is done playing, we are well past where I want the first frame to be. So then I've got to come back and I need to drag this thing out more, kind of estimate, and maybe I need to calculate, like, okay, I want the transition to be 1 second, so this frame right here should be about 1 second after the transition is over. So I drag that out, and that should be about right. Now I've got to calculate, drag this whole thing in, and that should be about the right frame. You're really guesstimating at that point, and it looks like I've pretty much nailed it, but if I'm wrong, then I've got to, start all over again. That can be a big kind of pain. So a nice way to do this is to deal with the comic transition as if it's its own separate clip, independent of my other two clips. And the way to do that is to bring it in from the hard drive where the transition pack has been installed. So again, go to your hard drive, open the library, open application support, open Telestream, and then you've got the transition movies. Now I've got my Comic POW right here, and I can drag that right into my ScreenFlow project, and I'm just going to drop it in there. Let's go back here, and it's in my library as a separate clip. Now I can drag it down to the timeline, and you'll see it plays for about 1 second, and then it's done. Now the nice thing is I just can step through here, and I know exactly when I want the transition to start. So if I go, okay, I want it to start right as he's touching down on the snow. I'm just going to scrub just about there is when he touches, right? So that's good. So that's a great place to start my transition, right? I want the transition to begin. Boom, right there. I'll even go over just a little bit to give myself a little more of frames of background until the comic transition fills the screen. Now, it doesn't matter what's underneath the transition. It doesn't matter if there's any clip material or whatever, because there's nothing going on. The only thing I need to worry about is music, right? I need to cover that transition with music. I've already done that. So we're good there. The music keeps going. Now, the first frame where you would start to see anything in the background here is right about there. And so I don't need to start my next clip until here. And so this is when I want to bring in the other one. And again, I can cut that a little bit by making sure that I'm right about where I want to be. And now I can just be a lot more precise with this gap. And then the transition's exactly the length that I want it to be by treating it like a separate element. So you can get a lot more precision. It's easier to work with that way if you bring in separately directly from the hard drive. So a second way to do it. If you don't care and you're just running and gunning, doing it very quickly, you can use the drag over method and just select the transition pack from the built-in transition menu. That's very convenient. But sometimes for more precision edits and you still want to use these elements, bring them in as a separate clip, and that's going to save you some headaches as far as getting things accurate down to the frame or down to the exact detail. If you've already bought the Flowtility, how do you get the installer? Check your email from when you purchased. There should be a link or a paragraph about your Flowtility. Otherwise, just contact our sales or support team at telestream.net, and they'll get you set up with your Flowtility downloads. They're very good at that. Good question, Peter. I look green. I know. I think we need to adjust the key here, but I'm actually looking a little better now. Okay, so we're doing pretty well here. All right. We kind of just came in and started shooting, and somebody else was using the studio before we got here, so we didn't really take much time to dial things in. But well, that's okay. We're running and gunning ourselves today. Okay, so that is the Flowtility Transitions pack. As I said, there's a bunch of different ones. Why don't we just tour a few of them now and see what you could do with these transitions. So I'm just going to dive through them. So you've got this cool balloon ones. I think the transitions pack kind of fall into two categories. There's full screen transitions, and there's partial screen, and so forth. So why don't I just go to about a second here, and we'll just dive through them. So we've got, as I said, the balloons. A little choppy there. I think you might want it slower. Okay, it's a nice little transition. We have, let's see what else we have. There's the Clapboard. This is interesting because it's not a full screen. It's not until it claps and goes white, and you get this kind of white out animation. Boom. Kind of good. Then we've got other cool stuff like fan burst. This is neat. You've got a bunch of different ones. I mentioned the barn doors. There's Comic Pow, which we covered. Let's go. Oh, this is, you'll recognize this one. That's all, folks, right? That's sort of a Warner Brothers style transition. You could have you could key this out, or you could put somebody else in there as a head or a face or something. That's kind of cool. Another one. We probably won't look at all of these, but I'm just going to give you this is a cool one, very stylistic. The film burn. I like this. Transition from A to B. And you get this really nice natural film burn. Like you've burned through one piece of film and you're now on the next one. Perfect stylistic one for this kind of video. So you want to pick the ones that are right for the subject that you're filming. You've got top secret folder. It's kind of neat. This sort of top secret folder slides in and then opens on a file where the picture on top of the file is the clip of the next source. And you gotta do laptop open. This is a very nice stylistic one, especially for business type broadcasts, technology broadcasts. You get this sliding in of a laptop, and then on the screen of the laptop itself, it swipes over to the next source. We'll do maybe a couple more, and then we'll next one. So wood door. These ones of like full block out are very easy to use. And it opens on the next one. And why don't we end with our pickets. These are nice like rainbow picket wash transition. You get these nice like stripes playing across the screen, and as they come up, the next clip starts playing. Okay, so that's just a taste of some of the transitions that you have available to you with that pack. Let's start looking at, let's tour some of the other elements. This time we're going to look at the Flowtility Motion Graphics Library. So that, again, is something that you would download. And when you download it, you get access to a bunch of different backgrounds, elements, and so forth. So I'm just going to open that here. And we'll just tour. So first off, you get these cool, what's called the 1000 backgrounds, although it really is, it's about 19 or 20. And these are just nice clips and textures. I've covered this in some of the, I've used some of these in the ScreenFlow webinars, the advanced webinars. Adding these types of motion graphics and elements to your projects, they're just nice. They're handy to have. Like you know, if I just take myself full screen, why don't we even just do that? We'll full screen this guy. You can see how much nicer the background looks, right? I'm just having this video clip run in the background on my desktop, but it's, you know, I could do a PowerPoint slide. I could have all this, and you just have this really nice multi-layered, multi-textured background. Almost looks like the Constitution's behind me, and you know, almost like a rock wall, you know, or a concrete wall, you know, all this stuff going on here. You could build these yourselves. It's not like that much going on in terms of what's happening. It wouldn't take you too long. In fact, I encourage you to go out and try that. You just get something that looks visually interesting. This is probably 3 or 4 different elements composited together into just a looping clip. And it looks wonderful. So that's one. Let's go check out some others. More colorful. This is a really nice one. We might start using this one during broadcasts. I like it. So we'll just keep moving through. I'm going to go to the next one. This is similar to the earlier one, but this has more of like a leathery feel, like a more of a natural organic matter. This is the one I actually used in the webinar. And we'll tour through this guy as well. I'm just going to leave him, not full screen him right now. This, again, you got, this is kind of cool. You've got sort of a chain link fence picture rotating with some newspaper or some book photos, and like almost like a paint smear with maybe kind of a half see-through gradient. Pretty cool. This is a few images with some movement and light. Pretty cool. I like this one a lot. There's actually a wing there. It's really nice. It's a cool light blue colored one. So, you know, they're just building ones, things that look cool, things that look interesting, that can add some texture and background to your screencast. This is more of a sports center-y type ESPN style backdrop. Again, very nice. Adds a certain look. Okay, so that's some of the backgrounds. I'm just going to hop through the rest here. I think we're about at the end of the 1,000. Oh, nope, there's more. That one's cool. I like that a lot. Very Technicolor. almost like iOS apps or something. This is a sort of a flash grainy thing that you could use. This could go on top of an image or a video, another video. Some others here. This one's loading. Oh, this is the Matrix one. Yeah, this one's cool. Very neat. So that's just they. You know what you do is you just loop them or you keep playing them so back and forth. Yeah, there's ways to fade them. There's ways. I think again in the advanced tutorial, you don't have to use these types of backgrounds just the way they're presented. So, for example, if I take this guy into our ScreenFlow project here, just drop it in as an element. Hold on. I'm gonna go add media. Jump into my external. Go to software installers. No, Flowtility. Go to the backgrounds here. And I don't know if we add, say, it has you, that's what it's called. Add that and bring it down. First thing you can do here is again, it's going to be full size the way it is, but you can do some cool stuff. If you say just resize it and then that right there is a very different look than what it is when it's full screen. And then you can also do stuff like you can apply filters to it. You can fade it out a little bit, take the opacity down. So hold on, kind of out of screen here. Just gonna bring this up a little so everyone can see my full screen. So you can change the opacity, just dial it down. And that right there gives you a very different look. You know, and if you brought something else in, like the blue, where's the blue clip here? This one. So if we brought that guy in and layered it behind, now you get almost this blue look tint. And you can mess with the opacity again here. Or you could add a filter onto this and say add a Chroma Key effect. And let's take the opacity back up to 100%. Hold on. Have to key on the green. There we go. So you make the green like blue, right? So now I'm keying on a blue element in the backdrop. I mean, look how cool that is. So all I did was I took two clips together, threw on, a Chroma Key filter to filter out some of the green. I resized it, and I've just created a totally different look. And again, I can resize it again. Oops, hold on. Let's go here. Take this guy. There we go. And so if you resize the it has you clip again and zoom in a little, play that back. Isn't that cool? So just by messing with these as your base, there's a ton of stuff you can do. You can change the hue if you don't like the color. If something's too orange, you can throw on a filter for that. So there's no limit. Taking just these 20 backgrounds, you can make an unlimited number of additional ones. So it's really nice that just a little bit of extra materials to work with, just some kind of basic building blocks, allows you to use your creativity and build a whole bunch of other stuff. So that was one of the things that we talked about in one of the advanced webinars, which I'm passing along here for you. Okay, so let's tour a few of the other things, and then we'll wrap up for today. In addition to the 1,000 backgrounds, there's a bunch of other stuff you can get, like these countdown timers. These can be useful for business presentation videos or things like that. These are basically the same type of timer, but just in different style increments. We've got this one's pretty cool, I have to say. And this 1 minute timer in red, 10 seconds. So those are great. Countdowns. More countdowns. You get objects like bullets, bullet points. You have animated bullets. So, you know, this is a great one. We could bring this in and animate, you know, a presentation of some kind. So we'll pull on this guy here. Pull on our bullet point and add a text box. I'm also going to change the background here to white, so it'll be, these bullets will show up a little easier. Okay, hit OK. All right, so now I've got this white background and I can pull this bullet on, and let's make it a little smaller. Put it right there, and let's add a text file to it. Take off the background, change the font color to black, and open and just say point number 1. Okay. And we're going to zoom in over there a little bit. And we're going to bring them on about the same time. Boom, right? Maybe right about there is when I want the text to pop on. And then we might want to freeze frame this or create a freeze frame. Add freeze frame there. So we just have a freeze frame of the bullet. Zoom out a little bit. And now we have this point number 1 thing. So we can, you know, you can literally, sorry, wrong hand. You can literally say, and my first point, boom, right? So always be crushing it, right? So point number 1 is always be crushing it. And then you can copy and paste those. And whoops, drag them together. I'm really messing up here. Drag them together. And maybe after point number 2 comes on, we can drag those guys down here. All right, and then this point might be never be late. This first thing comes into my head right now. Okay, good things, good tips for business. All right, here we go. So point number 1, always be crushing it. Point number 2, never be late. Now that, you notice, came on, that did not animate on the way I wanted it. I'm not sure why. Okay, it did animate. It's just, it wouldn't necessarily render here as well as it would in the final output. But we'll bring this a little lot larger. Let's do it one more time. Point number 1, always be crushing it. Point number 2, never be late. And you could just animate on those dots, those little PowerPoints. So that is what those are intended for. And there's a whole library of different ones that you can mess with. So there's that guy, there's the butterfly, which was crazy cool and weird. Almost like, now some of these that I'm showing you may not be in the final pack. I think they when we acquired them, I think I grabbed as many as I could get my hands on, and there may be incomplete ones in my collection here. So I apologize. I don't have access to download the same pack that you will, but let us know if there's, you know, if there's any issue with that. But there's a lot of different good ones. You know, you've got money sign and play, and there's another cool bullet point. So these are just cool little animations, created with After Effects or whatever that were done, and it's just a library of neat ways to. So these are great too. We could animate these in, and you could put this in your YouTube videos as a link, like this video, and just put it at the bottom. And then in YouTube, you can actually draw a box around the areas of the frame, the video frame that you want to be links. And so you just draw a box around this on YouTube, and you've made that button on the screen like a link, a hyperlink, which is super cool. So that's what this stuff is intended for, and it's stuff you would normally have to build yourself or go find somewhere else or get a library like this. So cool stuff. That is the Flowtility objects and bullets, and there's another one of those. Then again, I don't think all of these come with the pack. Depends on, some of them may, like I said, I might have some that are incomplete. Okay, so cool stuff. I like that one a lot. Always be crushing it. You could use it for there. All right, that is the countdowns, the motion backgrounds, as well as the objects and bullets, and the transitions pack. So lots of different stuff in the Flowtility library, and it's not that expensive. It's dollars, tens of dollars. It's not much, so it really can add some value and give you some really cool stuff to work with. I hope that gave you a nice tour of what's available to you and how Flowtility works. And you don't have to just use it in ScreenFlow, and you're welcome to use it in other programs. These are MOV files for the Mac that can be brought into just about any program that can read MOV files. So they're useful all over the place, whether you're making a slide presentation or whether you're making a ScreenFlow video or in Wirecast or using live video like we are. All right, that's it for today, folks. If you want to check out more cool videos, we have a library of ones that we've done. I guess we're on episode 12 today, so 11 other episodes you're welcome to check out at ScreenFlow or Facebook.com/ScreenFlow. You can also tweet at us at ScreenFlow. We have a great team that helps with that, and we will be back not in 2 weeks. We'll be taking a break for part of September. I think I'm out over in Amsterdam in Europe for a trade show over there, but we will return at the end of September, most likely for another episode. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us today, and keep ScreenFlowing. We'll see you later.